Hello and welcome to this week's Source Snack Break. It is Wednesday, June 23rd. It is also National Hydration Day. And I did a little research, and that was actually, it was in honor of Coach Victor Hawkins, and he was the one who invented the mouth guard for football players that allowed them to drink water through their mouth guards, so to keep people hydrated. And after his passing, the company that he created that sold those had this holiday in his honor to remind people to stay hydrated. So there's your fun fact of the day. And we are joined this week by Coleigh Patrick and Kirsten Solly from Wilsonart. We're hoping to see Kirsten's beautiful smiling face, but we're having a little bit of internet issues. So if she goes on and off the screen, she is still with us. So welcome both. We're very happy to have you. For those of you who are joining us live, you've been muted automatically, but you can still have a conversation with us by popping any questions or comments. Let us know what you like in the chat box on the right-hand side there. And we'll also try and save some time at the end for questions, but feel free to ask them along the way. If you need to step away for anything, a recording will be sent to you afterwards, so you won't miss a minute of it. And you can also check out past episodes on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So with that, Coleigh, Kirsten, if you could just start off by telling us a little bit about your role at Wilsonart, and then let you dive right in.
Okay, I think I'm back. Welcome, everybody, and thanks for joining us. And thank you to Source for hosting us and letting us share this information on Wetwall. I'm Kirsten with Wilsonart. I'm the specification rep for Wilsonart Engineered Surfaces here in the Northwest. And I'm happy to also introduce Coleigh Patrick. Coleigh is our spec rep and manager with our distributor, E.B. Bradley. You want to say hi, Coleigh?
Hey everybody, how's it going? Happy Wednesday afternoon. Well, it's still cool out. Yeah, just E.B. Bradley, and we work together with Wilsonart as our distributor, and we're up and down the entire West Coast, distributing Wilsonart's plethora of products. And me and Kirsten do this for a living and try to do it well. So here we are.
And Coleigh is really, for Oregon, all our people that are joining from the state of Oregon, Coleigh is really your first point of contact for getting samples and information. But we're both here to help you. But definitely, Coleigh, quick samples, things like that, pricing and distribution, lead times, et cetera. But we're both here to help, and we're excited to introduce the Wetwall product today. It's a new product that we've brought in as part of the engineered surface portfolio. Most of you all probably know us for our laminates, but we also make quartz and solid surface and a lot of specialty products within that. But Wetwall really came to us. We've been making Wetwall in other parts of the world for many years. So it's new to North America, but it's not a new product. And I know that sometimes, specifying a new product feels a little risky, but I don't want you to feel this way about this. This is tried and proven and been in use for quite a while. And it's really about bringing an engineered surface to the wet space of a shower, right? And we're going to talk about some of the designs, kind of how it works and the performance level and why you should consider it for some of your projects. But it's really about the fashion and inspiration, right? We're going to bring trend-worthy designs to the marketplace. Performance is key here. You know us for performance of our products, and we're going to tell you how this is kind of made and put together, but it's really high performance, long lasting. The big news is super easy for installers to install. It has an install time of, on average, for a typical shower tub surround of 2.5 hours, right? So quick, easy, you're going to save on that install time. And then low cost of ownership because of that low maintenance over time of managing it, no grout to keep clean and maintain and use harsh chemicals on. And then, of course, availability. This is manufactured in Texas, And then our distributor, AB Bradley, is stocking designs and panels here in Seattle and in Kent and all up along the West Coast. So really approachable in terms of availability, design, and all these things. So we're going to jump in here and talk about what is the product? What does it look like? So the designs.
Sorry,
Yes.
before you, about the lead time, is that the same across the United States? Because we've got somebody here from Indianapolis, and I think some designers tuning in elsewhere. Can they expect a similar lead time if they're not in the Pacific Northwest?
Yes. So lead time to any of our distribution sites or the Wilsonart own distribution is about 7 to 10 days, right? So we guarantee a 7-day production, and then different sites will have different inventory available. So check locally, but really quick lead time because we are manufacturing it in Texas.
Perfect. Thank you for that.
Yeah. Thanks for asking that question. So right now we have 8 designs, and if you go to the Wetwall website, you need to look at the pro designs. This is what the design category, the design offering that we're offering the A&D community and commercial projects, right? And that gives you some benefits in terms of panel sizes, availability, all these things, and we'll learn a little bit more. But I just want to give you a general feel for what we're sharing here, and you might recognize these if you recognize and use Wilsonart laminates, right? So this product does use a Wilsonart laminate on the face, and then we use a waterproof core, which I'm going to show you more about. But you can see here we have, and they all have different textures and feels, so you definitely want to see a sample of these and different scales. We are coming out with additional designs later this fall, but just want to give you a quick peek here. All right, and what they look like installed, right? So couple of the designs here, the Legacy Ash. This is a wood grain, very soft, white washed wood look. And then Tahitian Sands, which was one of those ones I showed you there. This one has been very popular because it can blend with many different color tones and keeps a neutral palette going in your restroom applications. So really, we want to get into about this performance and what it is. That's usually what y'all are curious about. But this is a patented panel system. So when I say the system, you're going to use the Wilsonart Wetwall panel, and you're also going to use the Wilsonart adhesive and the sealant. And we're going to talk about why and what that means for you. But it's really a whole patented system, those 3 components. We do put this on the waterproof core. There's finished edges, antimicrobial protection, scratch and scuff, and of course that easy maintenance. And I just mentioned here, and I just threw this in because Wilsonart, our sustainability, we just redid information on our website, but one of the components of the Wetwall is our laminate. And our Wilsonart laminate uses post-consumer recycled content, and we are leading the industry by 2 times. On average, we're using about 23% post-consumer product to build our laminates, and up to 34% in certain products. So I just want to throw that in. I know the Northwest here, we're very sustainably minded, and of course across the country as well. Now, what is it? So I mentioned the laminate, right? And then the core, that panel that we're going to put it on, is a wood plastic composite core. So it's an extruded composite material made of wood fibers, but mostly of the plastics, the thermoplastics, so that the wood fibers are put in there so it can be cut easily with woodworking tools. That's what makes it so accessible and easy to install. It's waterproof. It will not absorb water at all. It's very similar to, if you're familiar with the brand Trex decking, right? Or these reconstituted wood plastic composites. And then the core is a natural pigment color. And we're looking at, doing more colors. You don't really ever see the core, but some people have some interest in there. All of Wilsonart products are Green Guard Gold certified.
We actually have a question. Did we lose you? Hopefully not. If you can hear me, we have got a question about if there's any special substrate that's needed compared to traditional tile when you're installing that.
I don't know if she's, you don't, but drywall, the blue board, green board, something water resistant is typically the idea, behind it. And you can certainly go up against existing stone, tile, as long as there aren't any big holes behind it. And if there are, you'd want to fill them in, but it really will go up against most things. Again, water resistant would be a key thing, but.
Perfect. Yeah. So you can cover old tile with it.
You can. And the high glosses, they recommend maybe scuffing it, with a 60 grit sandpaper before you do adhese. But again, a nice, fairly clean surface, free of holes, and yeah, you can put it right up against it.
That's awesome. We also had a question about that post-consumer recycled content. Is that the fibers that you mentioned? The wood fibers that are in this core?
Kirsten, you're muted, Kirsten.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, so laminate is made of paper, 70% paper, 30% resins. So all the paper that we make to use a laminate, most of it is that post-consumer recycled content, up to 34%, depending on which type of laminate, right? So yeah, it's made out of, milk cartons, post-consumer papers, cardboards, that kind of thing.
Awesome. Oh, we're having a little connection issues. I think maybe it might help if I'm going to see if I can turn off my camera and just give a little extra in case that's slowing things down. It might help us all here.
Or Kirsten might.
Okay, my back.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
if you want to try turning off your camera, Kristen, that might help the bandwidth a little bit.
Okay, we'll do that.
Perfect.
All right.
We can hear.
All right, we'll continue and then just, keep me posted on the questions. The performance. So a lot of the Wilsonart laminates and all the ones that we use for Wetwall have, in our HD designs, have our antimicrobial. So this is going to inhibit the growth of mold and mildew and fungus, which obviously you really want that in your shower and wet application. So that's a great thing that's going to come automatic. And also these are have our Eon technology, which is 3 times the industry standard for scratch and scuff resistant. So these are very durable products. And then of course that waterproof core, and then the sealer and the polymer. The sealer is what you're going to use at the seams at the base where you attach to your, either your tile floor or a solid surface, pan substrate or something like that. You're going to use a sealant there. You're going to use it in the back 2 corners. And if you end up specifying the tongue and groove to go wider than a 60-inch, the sealant is there, and it is color matched to the design as well. And so this polymer sealant, much more longer lasting than a typical silicone sealant. All right. Kind of the sizing and availability. We offer this, the Pro Series, in different widths to really be able to get the best yield for your installation. And of course, most of your shower and tubs are usually around that 30 to 34 inch depth, but we make the panels up to 36, 42, 48, and our widest at 60 inch. Now, a lot of installers prefer, instead of a full 60-inch back wall, they want this to be 2 panels so it's easier to move and install and get into the location. And this back seam here on the back wall would be a tongue and groove, and it's a snappy tongue and groove. And hopefully at the end here, I can turn my camera back on and show you an actual tongue and groove. And then we do the different heights. So you have, there's Coleigh. It really snaps tightly, and it's virtually invisible. And even when you move your hand across it, super smooth. And the way the groove is designed, show them an end view, Coleigh, of what that tongue and groove looks like. There's a little space there. It actually pushes the sealant towards the back, so you have very little cleanup on the face. So it's really a patented design right there. Thanks, Coleigh. That was helpful. Yay. The heights, we have from like a typical tub height, also floor to almost the ceiling at 72, and then a full height at 96 inches. So you have your different widths and heights. And then that, of course, that 7-day lead time, if it's not a particular size that E.B. Bradley has in stock at one of their, warehouses or across the country.
We have a question about that tongue and groove. Did you say that it would be filled with sealant? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so that tongue and groove, as Coleigh showed you, and I'm showing here on the screen now, the sealant, remember, it's a patented system. So you have the panel, your sealant, which is going to go in your seams and at the base, is going to be put on the tongue side when the installer goes to push it. And some of that sealant is going to push out a little bit towards the front. But the way the tongue and groove is designed is really to push the sealant to the back, which is really helpful and helps with that install and cleanup time, the way that tongue and groove is put together. And like I said, the sealant is a polymer versus a silicone. So it stays more flexible over time, and it's also color coordinated to whichever design panel you're going to choose.
Thank you.
All right. Now we're mentioning here about this easy to install, but it is, that wood fiber that we put into the core makes it easy to cut with woodworking tools. So literally a fabricator, installer, all they need is really kind of that drill with the hole cut to put your fixtures in. And then if they need to trim the panel down, like maybe, their wing wall is, a 37 inch, right? So you're going to order a 42 inch panel and they're going to have to trim it, and everything's not always square. So they can easily trim down the size of the panel on site after they've done their on-site measurements to make sure. But that's what makes it so great. No special tools are required. They really just need their caulk gun and their wood saw, and they're ready to go on site and get this put in. And then, the low cost of ownership. So tile is really, kind of the product category that seems to, be the competition, as we say. And tile requires several days for install and prep time, and also that maintenance of grout over time. So you think of, multifamily apartment units, what owners need to do to maintain and upkeep those units, as well as commercial applications, including, hospitality and healthcare. Think about, not having to maintain grout and seal and using the chemicals that are needed to keep upkeep with a lot of grouts these days. Wetwall is really easy to clean. You can get the care and maintenance document, but it's pretty much just warm soapy water. If you need a little bit harsher, like a Windex or something like that, you don't have to use any scrubbies. You don't have crevices and places for things to grow. And we have that antimicrobial, anti-mildew on the whole surface as well. And the polymer also has, the sealant also has antimicrobial attributes to it as well. Like I just mentioned, lots of market segments this is applicable for. You have hospitality, healthcare. I'm going to show you a couple pictures here coming up in education, spas and gyms, even corporate installations in spa, locker rooms, shower areas as well, and of course obvious multifamily, single family, new construction, and again repair and remodel. And as Coleigh mentioned, it can go over tile, and that's a pretty significant thing to say. As long as the tile's structurally sound, not falling off, you can go over it with the Wetwall. You have the fashion and inspiration. You have that performance we talked about, that ease to install of 2.5 hours compared to like 2 to 3 days of tiles. We're not going to be priced. The price point of this is about what you'd pay for a mid price point tile. We're not going to compete with, a white subway tile that's available all day long at a home center. But you really have to consider not just the material price, but your install and your cost of ownership over time in terms of your calculation and when you're comparing to other products that you'd use in the wet shower space. All right, the one middle school. So here's the example. This was right as COVID happened, construction site got held up, and then they were in a push to get it open. And they ended up going over existing tile. This is for a middle school locker and shower space. So that really helped the contractor keep the timeline. And the school was super excited about the low maintenance for this for a school application. And here's the after. And once they decided to go over the tile in the shower room, they were like, okay, let's just do the whole locker room. We really like the idea of this. And they just kept going. And there's a case study of this on the Wetwall under resources website as well. But just turned out beautiful. And the client, everybody super thrilled with the installation. It kind of surprised us that was one of the first installs that happened. Of course, residential. And we're seeing different uses for how Wetwall is used. We've seen center panels down the back with decorative tile up at the ceiling. At that point, you're kind of compromising that quick install time, but it's all about the design and what your client wants. So you have different ways to be creative with the Wetwall product as well.
I have a question that came in kind of related to those last images that you're talking about, the showers specifically. Has it been tested in a steam shower? Got a question around that.
It's going to be fine in a steam shower. I don't know if we have specific documentation for that kind of testing, but because the substrate is basically waterproof, it is not going to expand or contract, right? It's going to be fine in all those different temperature situations. So I guess if you had the maximum temperature that could be in a steam room, I might just check with our tech team to confirm that, but I have a feeling you're going to be fine, but let's verify that for sure.
Perfect. Awesome. It's a great question.
Yes.
Are you ready for a few other questions? I don't want to cut you off here.
No, I think we're there. I mean, the last slide is really our contact information. So yeah,
awesome.
Throw us some questions.
That sounds great. So we've got a question from Emily. Emily wants to know if it is recyclable at all. Her understanding is that composite wood decks typically are not. What about the shower walls?
Yeah, so no, at this point, I would say it's not really recyclable that way. But I think you also have to plug in the longevity and life of, using less resources that last longer is the other way to consider that. As we learn more and do more to advance technologies, I think these things, something that Wilsonart's always considering, right, is the different resin technologies that could be looked at. But currently, I would say not really recyclable in that use, except for if you pulled it off, you might be able to reuse it.
Perfect, thanks. And we've got another question. If you could talk a little bit about sort of the differences between this product and laminin. You're familiar?
Laminin?
Yes.
I am not familiar with that. If someone wants to expand a little about what that is, I have not heard that before.
Okay, I see.
How is that spelled, out of curiosity?
That is spelled, Laminam, Laminam.
Interesting.
Laminam?
Okay.
Yeah, I'll have to look into that. That's not something I'm familiar with or has our.
Well, it looks like actually it's perfect. Your whole presentation answers these questions. So she just replied in. That's wonderful. Thank you, Stephanie, for letting us know.
I'll look that up and get ceramic.
Right. There's the difference.
Yeah. So definitely not ceramic. This is made of mostly wood fiber and resins. So you take your laminate, we are going to put it onto that waterproof wood composite core, and that's pretty much your panel. So Coleigh, maybe you can show that tongue and groove again and show the edge detail, and we can talk about it.
Well, so here's the edge of it, right? Yes. It looks wood. It's not. It's completely waterproof. There's no question about that either.
So cool.
And those brown lines are actually your laminate. So the laminate is composed of that craft paper, that post-consumer, your printed deco, and your overlay that has the scratch and scuff, and your antifungal. And then that whiter neutral color is actually that waterproof core material we've been speaking about. So that's the whole layout. The back side of the panel are going to be white on all of the designs. And that's laminate as well. So that you just put the adhesive right on there and like caulk beads, not like smeared. There's a fab and install on the website as well, but that's how it's made, right? So it's all easily cut with woodworking tools.
That is so cool.
That's the beauty of it, is how fast you can work with this stuff. It's so light and so easy to use and move around that it compares to nothing else, aside from the inserts, the acrylic inserts, which is a different look, right? That's a different look than this. This is a more sort of getaway spa look, versus the drop-in. So, and I would say too, take some time, and if you needed help to navigate the Wilsonart Wetwall page itself, it's pretty easy to navigate, but it's very informational. It has lots of things that you can see on the resources, especially the resources to give you the ideas of the fits, the different panel sizes, and what's available. And just so you know too, Schluters are the top. That's the other nice little piece of edge to use at the top if you don't go all the way to the top or you're going on the sides. You can do cutouts, as you saw. She had a picture in there, and niches are something that may be coming, right, from Wilsonart. Kirsten, I believe they're working on something along that line.
Yeah, definitely. We're working on some solid surface niches and inserts that you could add to this. Those probably won't be till 2022. There's a lot of, most of you all know, with design restrooms, we have a lot of options there for sure.
Yeah. Awesome.
Installs coming, and Angelique, it's that new that they're like in process right now as we speak, and people are super excited about it as we go into these firms. They're like, how do we sign up? Who do we talk to? How do we get going with this? So they're literally happening now as we speak, and we'll hopefully have some places for you to look at. We'll see what's going on in Portland. I'm down there every couple of weeks, and if that's the area that you're in, and Seattle's got some stuff going in right now. I don't know if Kirsten is popping off here, but those will be available soon. And we're trying to get some of the showrooms to where folks can see it in person as well. So.
Perfect. Well, we are a little over time, so I want to make sure we get everyone back to their days. But I really, really appreciate you guys both joining us today. It was super great to see this product and learn about it. And again, if you have questions, we'll be sending out a copy of this presentation afterwards, and it'll have contact information for the team here today. And feel free to reach out to us at Source if you have any questions or need help getting in contact with anybody, and we'll help getting you taken care of. And we will be back again next week, Wednesday at 1 o'clock Pacific, 4 o'clock Eastern, with another presentation. So I hope you all have a great rest of your day. And thank you both so much for joining us. I really love this product. I think everybody here who joined seems like is excited to learn about it as well. So awesome. Thank you for your time, and we will see you next week.
Thanks for having us in your time.
Yeah, thanks, Brittany.